Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help because voters...
Whoopi Goldberg for years reigned supreme on The View, commanding the show like it was her own personal kingdom. She would shut down guests, steamroll over opposing voices, and throw her opinions around as if they were undeniable facts. She ruled the daytime TV space with an iron fist, never once questioning her authority. But everything shifted when she came face to face with Karoline Leavitt, and in one unexpected episode, Whoopi found herself dethroned in a way that no one could have predicted. It all started like any other episode of The View, the same smug laughter, sarcasm, and the usual left-leaning panel nodding along to whatever was being said. But something changed the moment Whoopi opened her mouth. The topic for the day was wokeness, an ideology that The View had defended at all costs over the years. With her trademark smirk, Whoopi pointed a finger at Karoline and fired off the first shot.
I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job. In an instant, the atmosphere in the room went icy. Even Joy Behar, who has built a career ridiculing conservatives, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Whoopi's comment wasn't just a disagreement. It was a direct dismissal of Karoline's career, her intelligence, and her work ethic, all reduced to nothing more than the result of an ideology Whoopi opposed. It was a low blow, and the audience...
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back after the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderates
felt it. They clapped along, perhaps as a reflex, but Karoline didn't flinch. She didn't get defensive. Instead, she flashed a slow, knowing smile that seemed to say, "You've just made a huge mistake." And with a calmness that can only come from knowing you have the facts on your side, Karoline began to dismantle Whoopi's argument piece by piece. The audience was stunned, and the internet quickly erupted with reactions. But Karoline's response wasn't over yet. She started by citing government spending reports, showing
the most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
How taxpayer dollars were funding ridiculous woke projects. From gender studies programs in Guatemala to foreign Sesame Street shows pushing American activism abroad, Karoline laid it out. She made it clear that what started as a movement for fairness had evolved into something very different, a political weapon. Wokeness was now being wielded to silence anyone who dared to think differently. Whoopi, who had spent years watching guests fumble when challenged, found herself backed into a corner. She opened her mouth to respond, then shut it. Opened it again. But nothing came out. The audience, who typically cheered on Whoopi's sharp remarks, was frozen.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Right.
That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say, they talk at you, not to you. And that's what she was doing. And she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now.
Yeah.
And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
Even the camera crew seemed unsure of what to do. The cameras zoomed in on Whoopi's stunned face, and she realized she had no comeback. Karoline's next point hit hard. If wokeness is really about diversity and inclusion, why is it that conservative women are always the ones being attacked? The room fell completely silent. Whoopi sat there speechless. Joy tried to recover with a nervous joke, but the damage was already done. For the first time ever, Whoopi had been completely shut down.
That you saw live on this program yesterday. Joy Behar stirring the pot of controversy after saying this about Karoline.
She's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Do you want to take this?
So you cannot be attractive and smart? I will try to give Joy the benefit, and well, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing, because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt worked, I mean, she went to St. Anselm College, she worked for WMUR
Ran for Congress?
In New Hampshire. She ran for Congress at the age of 25, put out a very good campaign. She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Well, heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Pregnant, yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives an... And this, again, this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 26 years old, the youngest press secretary ever, and did a terrific job
in front of millions of viewers. But this wasn't the first time Whoopi's controversial comments had landed her in hot water. Over the years, she had managed to turn The View into a magnet for lawsuits. From tone-deaf remarks about the Holocaust to bizarre defenses of questionable figures, Whoopi had been at the center of some of the show's biggest controversies. But none hit harder than the defamation lawsuits from Carrie Underwood, Elon Musk, and now Karoline Leavitt. Let's take a moment to talk about Carrie Underwood. After performing at Donald Trump's second swearing-in ceremony, Whoopi and the other hosts of The View...
This young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason, because Black people couldn't get into colleges, because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not Black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was
attacked Carrie mercilessly. They mocked her, claimed her career was over, and even suggested she had aligned herself with hate. But Carrie had had enough. She filed a $1 billion defamation lawsuit against The View. When the case went to court, leaked emails revealed something shocking. ABC had orchestrated the attack on Carrie to boost ratings. The lawsuit sent shockwaves throughout the industry, and ABC was forced to pay a massive settlement. Executives began questioning whether The View was worth the trouble anymore.
Add one last thing. What was interesting to me is Dan Rather weighed in on X, and he said He compared our time now to the Nixon era, which was a little scary for me. But he said, enough with both sides-ism. When one side lies intentionally and repeatedly, they are no longer entitled to the benefit of the doubt.
And we should keep in mind, too, that the people that need to hear this are the people who are running the networks that are okaying this. Because this idea, it's like they say to you now, you can only work within this perimeter. But if the facts are not clear to people, that was what a journalist was there to do, to say, in fact, this is what went on and this is how we checked. Now, we've been given doubts that people don't know how to do this. The media has pretty much always been
Then came Elon Musk. Whoopi had spent months calling Musk everything from a dangerous billionaire to a threat to democracy. She and the other hosts spread false claims about Twitter's policies under Musk's leadership, but when Elon Musk was pushed too far, he sued. And when Musk sues, he doesn't mess around. ABC had to scramble into damage control mode, and whispers began circulating that advertisers were getting fed up with The View's constant controversies. And now, Karoline Leavitt had just delivered the final blow.